Hello and welcome to my podcast. This is SoulEnlightened and my name is Naomi. Today's episode, I wanted to focus on what I wish I could have told 21-year-old me and the way I wish I could have been able to really help her get through a lot of things she was going through. And maybe this can also help you through what you're going through and really bring you joy in the moment. When I was 21 years old, I had made the choice to become a better version of myself. Now at the time, I didn't realize that at that moment, I was the best version of myself I could be with the knowledge that I had. But what I was actually looking for was new mindsets and new ways of being and new perspectives so I could overcome my mental illness and I could better my life and in turn create better lives for those around me. And what I wish I could tell her is that she was doing the right thing. She really was. When I was 21, I decided to start with having a better relationship with my body. It was a very slow process at first. It was one dedicated to just telling myself how much I loved myself, but also dedicated to looking at my body less as the object I have learned to associate it as, and more as the temple that it is for my soul. I was struggling at the time with anorexia. I felt my body was ugly, I was fat, I would never be skinny enough. And I realize now just how much of all of this was actually corresponding with what I felt society wanted from me. I didn't fully understand just how much I was being influenced by the world outside of me and the experiences I had gone through. And I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that it wasn't the world that made me that way. It was what I had taken in and what I had allowed to influence me. And as I was, 21 in college trying to figure it out, I also started by overcoming my anorexia, one small step at a time. It started with me just making sure I eat every day. I didn't care if I ate pure junk food that day. As long as I was eating, I was so proud of myself. And whenever I felt that I wasn't on the right track, I reminded myself that what I had wanted most was to feel good in my body and to allow my body to feel good. And there was no right way for that to look. So I spent a lot of days eating macaroni and cheese and Takis and drinking soda. Barely any water, barely any other food. But even though that was all I was eating, I was so proud of myself just because I was eating. And in the process of becoming secure in my body, I started eating salads. Because you really can't eat macaroni and cheese and Takis and soda every single day and it not mess up your stomach. So I started eating salad. I started eating sandwiches. I started eating pizza. All these things that before I felt I could not have because that meant that I would gain weight, and if I gained weight, I'd be ugly. So I had myself one day sit down and eat an entire pizza by myself till I was almost on the verge of vomiting. And I was so happy and so full. Like, I had never experienced being so full ever for such a long time. And I was so proud of myself for just being full. I started looking for clothes that made me feel good in my body. I stopped buying clothes that were cutting off my blood flow. I stopped buying clothes that accentuated how tiny I was. Instead, I started looking for clothes that made me feel good in my body. I started asking around people who were older than me, and I tried to get advice on how to better my relationship with my body. And for a lot of them, they had different answers. For some, their answer was, that will come with age. As you get older, you just become happy with your body. For others, it was, I stick to this really strict routine, and that's how I gain this body. And for some, it was, why change? Why change anything? Why not just continue to eat the bare minimum and stay skinny and continue being anorexic? In their eyes, they saw nothing wrong with that. And in my eyes, I was so tired of just being tired from not having enough energy. I was tired of how it was affecting my mental health. And I really wanted to better my life in any way I could. So here I am, taking back my power, taking back my body. And at the moment where I felt I was finally at a healthy weight and I had taken care of my body and I felt good in my body, I relapsed. I stopped eating. I stopped drinking enough water. I stopped taking care of my body. And on a date I had with a person, I fainted. I fainted completely because my body just couldn't handle what I was doing to it anymore. And that was the moment I realized that I had to stop. I had to stop this being anorexic. I had to end that illness with me. I knew from my mother that my grandmother was anorexic, and she had no problem with it. But she also had a hard time carrying any of her children because she wasn't giving her body enough sustenance. I knew my great-grandmother had dealt with anorexia, and her mother before her. My mother had dealt with anorexia herself as well. But when she was stuck in a wheelchair for 4 years, food became her only comfort. So while she was no longer anorexic, she just went to a different coping skill and a different illness. And I was determined to take care of my body, to love my body, to treat it like the temple it is. And in my pursuit of this, after I almost had to be hospitalized for how badly I had treated my body, I had asked one of the nurses there, I had asked them, if the universe was telling you that everything was going to change, but it had to start with the change in me and what I'm doing, and that it would lead to an amazing life, do I take that leap of faith? And the nurse was like, if the universe is talking to you like that, girl, yes. Yes, take that leap of faith. And I did. I dropped out of school. I stopped working. And even though I was homeless, I took that time away from all stressors to take care of my body. And I beat my illness. I overcame it. And I built this healthy, beautiful temple that I have now with an amazing support group and an amazing team on my side. Now, while it wasn't easy, by prioritizing myself and reminding myself that my body is a temple, eventually that became my truth. Because what you tell yourself is what becomes your reality. If you believe your body is a temple, then that is how you will treat it. But like all things, it'll take time. You can tell yourself you're rich every single day, but it also takes those tiny steps to make a change in your life, to make it happen. So as you're on your journey today and every day afterwards, make the time to care for your body. Because at the end of the day, it is your temple, and it is a beautiful temple indeed. Thank you for listening, and have an amazing day.